My mum kicked me out at 17 for freeloading, but now she's sick and wants me to be her caretaker. I am a 19-year-old girl and am the youngest of 5. I have 4 older brothers. Just to give some background, my mum has always loved being a boy mum. She dotes on them and made it very clear that she never wanted and didn't like having a daughter. She never liked me, and I accepted that a long time ago. And her behavior towards me worsened when my dad left her. When I turned 16, her gift to me was a list of jobs that I can apply to pay for my expenses, even though my dad was giving her child support. Then at 17, she kicked me out because I wasn't willing to pay more than $400 rent while my brothers didn't even work. She then asked to meet me for lunch and told me she's sick. She's been in and out of hospital the last few months before she found out she was sick, and looking at 12 to 18 months before she'll be too weak and ill to care for herself. She asked that when the time came if I'd be willing to be her caretaker, as she didn't want men, like my brothers, to take care of her in that state and didn't want a stranger to either. Here's where I'm questioning if I'm the jerk. I told her no, I won't care for her and she should start looking for someone she knows who'd be willing to, because I'm not. This past week, I've been receiving nasty messages from everyone from my mum's Facebook because she posted about me not caring about her. They've called me unsympathetic, selfish, mean-spirited, and uncaring. My brothers have also been mad at me. Now I feel like the jerk, and I want to know if I am. I'm going to be quite honest. My mum's friends who witnessed how she treated me firsthand, they didn't care then, and I doubt they will now. I'm sure her Facebook friends know too. She never posted me or about me. They can't not know she disliked me. My brothers feed into my mother's lies. They refuse to believe I was treated differently, and when I question them, they go silent. I asked them why they got to redecorate and refurnish their rooms almost every year, and I slept on the same bed for 4 years, and they said nothing. They're more than aware they got happy mum, nice mum, and loving mum. Every day they got mum who showers them with love, money, and lots of gifts. They got mum who brought them new gaming consoles in a heartbeat and bought name-brand clothes and shoes whenever they wanted. They got a mum who celebrated their birthdays for a full week. Meanwhile, I got mum who barely helped me buy pads. I don't think I'll bother replying to her posts. I'm just going to deactivate my Facebook account. I'm almost certain no one will care what I have to say anyways. So, before I disappear, was I the jerk? Doesn't sound like you were from the amount of information we had. Sounds like you were treated like an outsider and a nuisance in your own home, right up until you actively refused to pay for what should have been a supportive environment while you finished your last 2 years of school. I can't see why any of your mother's friends would have known about your situation and not felt like you were completely justified in not wanting to wait hand and foot on 1. Your mother who treated you like refuse, and 2. Your worthless unemployed brothers, who are no doubt expecting you to fill the role of their mother once she becomes too ill to look after them herself. You'd honestly think they'd be able to pick up the slack after everything it sounds like she's done for them. Also, how has she been supporting 4 layabout lads this entire time? Are they at least on unemployment and paying rent or on student loans? Is the narrator wearing blinders here? I can't see any situation where people remaining in that household come across as the good guys here. I understand that we're somewhat limited to the author's perspective, but assuming everything here is true, they'd be justified going no contact and walking away from that toxic mess forever. Try to pile on more work to increase your bonus? Well, that's not going to happen. I oversee a team of 12 folks when it's fully staffed here. We had a fellow move out of state for school, a lady retire to care for her grandparents when her daughter got sick, and then 3 people promote up within the organization, all within 4 weeks' time. So almost half of our team suddenly became unavailable. While I'm involved in the recruiting and onboarding process, management up to 3 levels above me tends to be a bottleneck. Each time someone let me know they were moving on, I informed management and gave them a running total. We're at 84% staffing, we're at 66% staffing, etc. Ads were placed, first round of interviews was conducted by me and a team lead, second interviews recommended to the next level of management, and that's where the process suddenly stopped. For a week, and then 2, then 3. It commonly takes 2 to 3 weeks after hire to bring a new person up to speed to start being productive, and perhaps 8 weeks for a new person to reach 90 to 95% of median productivity goals. The existing team was ready to pull together and work harder to keep up the work, but I took each one aside and coached them that the heavy workload they were under was not their problem to solve. Yes, customers were complaining. Yes, other groups in the organization were getting frustrated that our team wasn't getting things done in a timely fashion. I encouraged them to work efficiently and well, but to not put in extra unpaid time or contribute their own resources to projects. And if anyone was insistent in their complaints regarding the team's productivity, send them to me and I'd explain the situation. Middle and upper management across the organization started vocalizing about how little work was getting done. When I played the Uno reverse card that, hey, all we need is adequate, well-trained staff and we'll be able to keep up, and managers 1, 2, and probably exec 1 all have potential interviewees on their desk for a month now, I started getting the stink eye from those folks. I found out later that one or a couple of those folks that I report to, and were also on the next rungs in the hiring ladder, had proposed the idea that this team could run just as well a little leaner. So they arranged to find out. Whoopsie-daisy. Metrics indicated that organizational goals weren't met because of their decision, but I was able to provide the stats that proved that the team's individual goals were met and that in many respects per-person efficiencies were improved. My team members got their bonus, middle management failed to achieve, so no bonus for them that year. In short, middle management tries to dump the workload of 12 people onto 7, loses their bonus when we don't break ourselves to meet their unreasonable demands. If this happens to your team, quietly remind them that they're only responsible to meet responsible goals, and they can't reasonably be held responsible if ridiculous amounts of work doesn't get done simply because the people that are supposed to provide adequate resources have so far failed at their job. Wow, everyone put your hands together for the best sort of manager there is. These middle and upper types were really trying to get an extra buck off the backs of their employees' misery, plain and simple, and our author here stood their ground and refused to flog the team into the dirt. Notice also how when people try to make a company a little leaner, they always go after the ground employees who are getting the work done and the things that cost nothing like coffee and small little perks in the workplace. They never go after the management who are making these garbage decisions whilst charging more per hour than the people below them. I feel like in a lot of stories we read here, the anti-jerk measures taken would result in the firing of our protagonist, so it's pleasantly surprising to see that not only did they get to keep their job and a sweet bonus, but they also managed to get the jerks above them punished by taking away their bonuses for pulling this crap. Honestly, I can't think of a more effective way to try and rein in this kind of anti-worker behavior, since people like this are seemingly only motivated by money. So this workplace might be one of the rare cases that properly rewards its employees, which would be a bloody first in the stories we hear in this channel, I tell you. So well done to our champion of the downtrodden, and let's all flip a big old bird to the villains of the story here. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, linked below. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. You don't like your boyfriend seeing me braless in the dorm? Alright then, he won't. I live in a college dorm in an all-female floor. I usually wear a brassiere if I leave the dorm building, but I'm not going to put one on under my shirt just to walk down the hall to the bathroom. A few days ago, I left my room and walked 10 yards down the hall to the water fountain, refilled my water bottle, and then went back to my room. I was wearing a white tank top and nothing underneath. The tank top was fitted but not see-through, so you could only see a faint outline. There was a small group of people hanging out in the hall outside a few of the rooms, but I didn't think much of it. Until about a half hour later when I got a knock on the door from one of the girls I'd seen in the hall. She said something to the effect of, "Hey, so sorry to ask you this, but if you go into the hall again, could you put a bra on? My boyfriend's out there and he was staring a bit, so, I'm super non-confrontational, so I was like, yeah, sure, sorry about that. And for the rest of the night, anytime I left my room, I put a bra or a sweater on. And that was the end of it, or so I thought. The next day, my roommate told me she'd overheard the girl telling a few of her friends about the incident while in the bathroom. She said the girl was making it sound like I'd purposely been trying to seduce her boyfriend, wearing basically nothing, taking my time at the water fountain, posing to push out my chest, and the whole works. When she left the bathroom, my roommate said the girl was actually acting it out at the water fountain, pretending to be me. That night, I passed the girl and some of her friends on my way to go brush my teeth, and this time I wasn't wearing one again, I was already in pajamas. The girl looked pointedly at my chest and all of them started giggling. But the last straw was when the entire dorm got an email from the RA yesterday, saying she'd gotten some anonymous complaints about people dressing inappropriately in the hallways and asking we all just make sure we're keeping things covered up. So here's where I got my petty little revenge. I knew that the girl's boyfriend doesn't go to college here. The girl and I were in the same orientation group and chatted a bit back then. I also knew that due to the pandemic, we weren't allowed to have non-student or family guests in the dorms this year. So I used the same anonymous complaints form to issue a complaint about people bringing their off-campus boyfriends into our dorm and them not wearing a mask. Masks are mandatory in the hallways, although not frequently enforced. This morning, the RA emailed again saying that due to anonymous complaints, they'd be enforcing the no off-campus guests rule by checking IDs of unfamiliar guests to make sure they were students from then on. Really, this girl should be thanking me. If she was concerned about her boyfriends seeing the vague outline of my tots in the dorm hallways, she no longer needed to worry. I'm not a jerk for this, am I? No, your roommate is either irrationally jealous or she just needs to get a boyfriend that she doesn't need to have that much concern over. If seeing the vague outline of parts of a woman's chest is going to lure this man into being unfaithful, that's not your problem. I feel like as long as guys and girls are wearing shirts in the common areas, most flats should be allowed to dress as comfy as they want. Guests can damn well respect that and maybe avert their eyes if they feel they have to. Alternately, maybe let people know you have a guest coming over and ask if people can just make sure they're wearing undies. Honestly, even that seems a little bit too intrusive to me. If my parents are coming to my old student dorm and one of my flatmates walks out to the shower in a towel, my folks can damn well live with it. We're not all Puritans who are driven crazy at the sight of the human form or any skin. Maybe there's a form in your dorm residence for you to request the transfer of your roommate to a more appropriate institution for her taste. Perhaps a nunnery. But seriously, great revenge. She deprived you of your comfort, and you deprived her of getting the D. Fricking hilarious. Am I the jerk for supporting my ex-husband to sue my current husband for using my son's emergency fund money for his golfing trip? My son, who's 13, passed away from terminal illness 3 months ago. It was so devastating to me and his dad, my ex-husband, and grief has been tense in these months. We were left with an emergency fund my ex-husband and I saved for our son, and recently I discovered that my current husband used it to go on a golfing trip in another country that he just returned from. I found out via checking financial records and I blew up at him and asked why he used my son's money to go on a trip while I was grieving. He said he needed support too and to lift some weight off his chest after I kept pushing him to the side and ignoring him. But I was and still am grieving and needed space. He wasn't the one who lost a child. Despite him being the step-parent, my husband made it clear he never felt any connection to my son, basically blaming his medical condition for not having had a chance to bond. We had a huge argument and my ex-husband heard and was so mad. He confronted my husband, calling him an unhinged opportunist, and said he was going to sue him for taking the money after accessing it through me. I told my ex-husband to go ahead and sue, and my husband was shocked that I agreed and condoned this mistreatment from my ex-husband towards him. He asked me to tell my ex to step down, but I said no. He lashed out, saying he too was and is grieving, and that my ex and I are ganging up on him with complete disregard for his overwhelming grief and sorrow. We haven't spoken since that argument and things keep getting worse, with him texting about how I should stand with him as my husband, instead of encouraging my ex to take his anger out on him like that. Am I the jerk? Oh my god, not the jerk. There are some massive issues going on, and surprisingly, I'm not talking about the heartbreaking loss of a child's life. He felt like he wasn't getting enough attention while your son was passing away? So instead of being there and commiserating with you, he decided to take a bunch of cash and fly off to Scotland or some crap to shoot some holes? I don't see this working out well for anyone, to be honest. Either you'll have a second ex-husband soon, or even worse, you'll forgive him, which I thoroughly encourage you not to do. It's awful that you have the pressure of this situation on top of what you've already gone through. You really shouldn't have to add ending a relationship to a moron with no empathy to your to-do list right now. What an absolute psychopath. Best case scenario, he pays you guys back instead of you having to go to court with him. Maybe he'll see sense and realize that's likely his best option. Customer decides to call my boss because I won't give her a special deal. I work at what I can only describe as a specialty antique store. The store isn't doing too hot for business, and my coworker and I have been in the process of running a 60% off sale to clear our inventory for a bit now. This story takes place in about November. It's a Wednesday and I'm working alone, which is pretty common. The town where I work is a tourist town, so no one really comes during the week. Just as I was thinking about how dead it was, a woman came in and barged up to the counter. We'll call her Martha. Martha was an older woman and she dragged along her sister, who we'll call Kate, with her. They approached me and asked me about a product they were looking for, which we didn't have. I informed them we didn't have what they wanted, but we had a few similar items. They decided to look around and they each picked out a few things they found interesting. Now, I didn't mention this before, but the price range of items at the store where I work are really high. The most expensive item we have is $7,000 and the cheapest is about $110, hence the store closure. Well, Martha brought up her items to me and I rang them up. Her total, with 60% off, was well over $1,000. She saw her total and narrowed her eyes at me. "That can't be my total. You didn't take 60% off." "Yes, I did. I can show you the receipt." "Re-ring me. I don't believe that number." I was annoyed, but I did what she asked. I re-rang all her items and got the same total. She got upset and pulled out her phone calculator and did the math herself, and her total loss is less than what I have. She shows me her phone and it's close to what I got, but not quite. I realized she didn't add tax on her purchase. I explain that there's tax and we add it before we take the percentage off the items, and she argues with me round and round. Finally, she gives up and offers her card to me with a huff. But wait, we haven't talked about her sister yet, huh? Martha goes to hand me her card and Kate intercepts, saying, Wait. Surely there's something you can do. We spend a lot of money here. Give us a better deal." I didn't even know how to react, honestly. I remember being surprised, but I said, "Sorry, I can't do that." But Kate pushed. "You have to give us a better deal. We've been in before." I again say, "I can't do that. You're getting 60% off as it is. That's enough." Martha was mad now, of course. She tells me I must give them a discount because they know the owner. I'm like, that's definitely BS, but okay. Martha threatens to call my boss, and because my boss is really cool, I said, "Okay, call her then." As expected, Martha didn't have her number right now and asked me for it. I said I wasn't going to give my boss's number out to a stranger, but I'd take Martha's number and let my boss know she wanted to talk. Martha seemed satisfied with that and she left her number and paid for her goods. I called my boss after she left and told her about the situation. My boss apologized to me for having to deal with Martha and told my coworker and I not to give her or her sister a discount in the future. This just makes the narrator really earnestly hope that Martha came back soon to try her luck. Imagine getting the discount on your items removed because you were such an absolute C-word to be around. Amazing. The sales tax thing not being included is weird to me, but I'm a European weirdo, so you were probably completely in the right in your country. Get screwed, Martha. Don't make me start calling you Karen on the internet. Oh, whoops, I did it. Guy interrupts me whenever I spoke, so I do the same to him. Pretty self-explanatory. I work at a kiosk in the mall, and Alan works at the kiosk right beside ours. I disliked him from the first month I started working there because it was pretty self-explanatory that he's kind of a D-bag and says a lot of misogynistic things to me, a woman. I usually ignore and don't partake in the conversation. But when it's a joint conversation with my coworkers, who are all men, and I'm talking, if Alan gets bored or doesn't want to wait till I'm done, he'll just face the other guys and stop me halfway so he can talk about whatever he wants. The other guys don't pick up on it or are used to doing this as well, so I completely stopped engaging if he's around. Recently, a new girl started working and he tries to do the same to her, and she picked up on it. The very first time, he tried to interject 4 times. He actively tried to stop her from talking 4 times and she wouldn't budge, just continued talking to me and our other coworker. At that point, I just decided, frick him. So now on, whenever he struts over to our kiosk to talk and tries to talk to anyone, I interrupt him midway and start a new conversation, or I pull my coworker into doing a task. Every time without fail. It's enough to keep me content at work. We also don't let him get a word in when it's just the girl and me, and I full-on ignore him if it's just me at the kiosk. Mini win. Late update. Ever since I made this post, I decided to get my crap together and no longer let people interrupt me. I raise a finger and hold it to them when someone tries, like saying pause in a way, or I'll talk louder over them to silence it. Definitely a win. A simple answer here, not the jerk. More guys like this need to learn that even if they're accustomed to ignoring or speaking over women, that it's a habit they damn well need to fix up. Good on you and good on your one coworker for kicking off the trend in the first place and showing you the way. I hope your male coworkers were supportive of your new assertion, and I'm glad you used this to kick off a new trend of not taking this kind of crap in the rest of your life too. Awesome work, author. Maybe this guy will realize what he's doing now he's being actively called out, although I wouldn't hold out too much hope for him. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. Or if you want to check out some great music, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, give Am I the Genius a shot. Everything linked in the description.